So welcome back. Now in this episode, I'm going to answer your question, what is the best real estate to invest in? Now I'm going to cover a lot, and you might want to get a notepad because a lot of things are going to happen here in the next couple of minutes. So my name is Ted Thomas, and since 1970, I've been involved in real estate, all different kinds of real estate, as a matter of fact. And from the last 25 years, I've been doing tax lien certificates and teaching people how to do it. So this is a specialty industry, and I'm going to compare it with a couple of others so you'll see which one's best for you. I like the tax liens and deeds because they're safe and secure, and I eliminated a lot of the ups and downs in the market. Now, how did I do that? Well, first of all, a little bit at the financing and what's going on there. So you want to know what the availability of financing is. That changes the real estate market dramatically. If they can't get money, it slows the whole thing down. If they can get money, everybody's building and everybody's on board. So that changes the supply and demand very, very quickly just with the availability of money. In this episode, I'm going to teach you about a little known business, which I call tax lien certificates and tax deeds. And this is distressed real estate, but it's very even. It doesn't go up and down, as you're going to see in the next few minutes. Now, a lot of mistakes happen in real estate, and there's two big ones I want to tell you about, and I'm going to do that at the very end of this video. So stay tuned so you know what those two mistakes are so that you can avoid those. I'll be right back. Okay, question I'm answering in this episode is, what is the best real estate to invest in? All right, so the market's changed rapidly, probably depending more on financing than anything else. But there's supply and there's demand. All right, so money makes a big difference. Now, all markets go up and down. It doesn't matter whether gold and silver going up and down, whether it's commodities going up and down. Real estate does the same thing. Now, real estate is dramatically affected by the money supply. So I know, and you know then, that you're going to have to be careful because if the money gets tight, then the builders are going to stop and things are going to change. So real estate doesn't always go up. So keep that in the back of your mind. Real estate doesn't always go up. Now, a lot of gurus say, buy it and it's going to go up. Now, maybe your grandfather, or even your dad, bought a property, held it for 40 years, and it sold for a much higher price. But that doesn't mean it necessarily went up a lot. It might have just been inflation. Now, what is inflation? Well, I'll give you an example. In the 1970s, you could buy a Ford Mustang for $2,500 to $3,500. What could you have to buy one for today? $45,000 or $50,000. So you're getting the idea. In California in 1970, you could buy a house for $40,000 or $45,000, a three-bedroom, two-bath house for $45,000 in a brand new residential neighborhood. Try doing that today. So things changed a lot and prices go up. So you need to understand the real estate doesn't automatically go up. So you want to buy into real estate where you can create value. Creating value is a very important part of being in business. I'll talk about that throughout these videos. Creating value is important. All right, so if money's easy to get, like it was in 2008 through 2012, wow, things really got out of hand for a while there because there was so much money, anybody could get a loan. You didn't even have to qualify. You just went and signed, you could have a loan. Well, what happens when everybody can buy? When everybody can buy, too much of everything means the market will ultimately crash. Now, if your home was the only asset you had, you could be in a crisis situation. Places like Orlando saw the market drop 30, 40, and 50%. So a $200,000 house dropped to less than $100,000. In Las Vegas and Phoenix, the markets dropped 70%. That means there's overbuilding. You would lose everything you had if you were invested in single-family homes at that point in time. No matter what the television guru told you, the market comes down, it takes everybody with it. So when the boats come in, the tide comes in, takes all the boats up. Same thing, it takes all the boats down when it goes out. All right, so when mortgage exceeds the value, things start wiping out. So I'm going to show you a way to buy real estate that you don't have to worry about that. So allow me to give you a low-cost strategy that has very little risk. Now, let me say that again. This is low cost with very little risk. Now, you're going to have questions as you go along, and just below me, you can write your questions. We will answer your questions, so ask your questions there and do that. And if you have other comments, you can put those in there too. All the people that ask a question, I send you a nice gift, and I'll tell you what that is in just a few minutes. All right, now large and small apartment buildings, those are great investments when the builders aren't building. Why? Because the builders aren't increasing the housing. If they're not increasing the inventory, then people move into apartments. So the rents go up. So that could be a very good business. I'll tell you a better business. A better business is what if you could buy real estate from the county and from the local government for 20 or 30 cents on the dollar and then be able to mark it up and sell it. Well, I think that's a better business. But there's still other businesses that are good. How about high-rise office buildings downtown? Nothing wrong with those, but you need to have massive, let me say that word again, you need to have massive money when the market slows down because tenants move out. All right, so who buys those? Well, the insurance company buys those. What's the insurance doing? They're selling insurance, getting cash payments from everybody all the time on their insurance. They need to invest it. So they buy in those buildings and they keep massive reserve. So you went and saw the Empire State Building, 100-year-old building, still developing money. So they buy concrete and steel and glass downtown, and that's what they want to own. You'll see their names all over those buildings. Banks like to buy those kind of buildings. All right, so the episode that we have today, we're trying to figure out what is the best real estate for you. Well, I'm giving you a couple of examples, but I can tell you right now, I've been an investor since 1970. I think the tax lien, tax defaulted business is the best one. Why? Business is 200 years old. The rules are all set, and you can create money. Now, how will you create money? Well, first, let me tell you about tax liens and deeds. The properties are sold by the local government. Now, how did they get them? Well, they confiscated them from people that didn't pay their tax. Same thing with tax lien certificates. People don't pay their tax, so they issue a tax lien certificate. If you don't get paid on a tax lien certificate, watch one of my other videos and you'll see that you end up with the property. So what if you paid $5,000 for a tax lien certificate and they don't pay you? Well, if it was a nice little property, you got a nice profit. This is a 200-year-old business. I've been teaching it for 25 years. This is safe and solid. It doesn't go up and it doesn't go down. It just goes across steady like that. It's always about the same. Every year there's just a few more properties at auction, but it's a safe and secure business. You can't buy them from me. I just teach you how to do it. Now, anybody can get in the tax defaulted business. You can buy tax deeds or you can buy tax liens. So let me give you a couple of examples. In a county that has low population, middle of Kansas, middle of Illinois, Utah, not too many people in the population, that means there's only going to be a few properties at a tax defaulted auction. It's only going to be a few tax lien certificates in those counties. All right, now if you go to a county that's really populous, for example, Los Angeles County, or different counties around New York City, or Miami, so if you went to Miami, you would find out in the course of a year, they'll have 65,000 tax certificates available, and they'll have anywhere from 200 to 2,000 total properties available. So my point is, this is everywhere. You can do it any way you want in the United States, and there's a never-ending supply. So we don't care if the money supply goes up or the money supply goes down. We don't care if the housing market's up or the housing market's down, because we're always going to buy rock bottom 20, 30 cents on the dollar directly from the county. And all the properties we buy have no mortgage. Oh, Ted, this is much different than regular real. Absolutely, this is a lot different. If you can start buying property for 20 or 30 cents on the dollar, it's not going to take you long before you can start selling them for whatever you want. Now, why hasn't your broker told you about this? Why hasn't your financial planner told you about it? Why hasn't your attorney told you about it? Well, this has been around for 200 years, and the only reason they haven't told you is they're not bad people. They're just trying to make a living like everybody else, but they make their living on commissions. Now, that just happens to be the nature of the United States. People make money on commissions. They chose that field. All right, well, they're not going to tell you about tax liens. They don't get paid. They're not going to tell you about tax defaulted property. They don't get paid. So if they're not going to get paid, why are they going to tell you about it? So this is a strategy that's a little bit different, but it has two profit centers. Two profit centers. Number one, if you're a conservative investor, you got a little gray hair like I do, and you're a little chubby, and you don't want to work too hard, well, then you're going to buy tax lien certificates because they're predictable, certain, and secure. All right? If you have a little entrepreneurial blood rolling around in your veins, well, then what you want to do is you want to buy tax defaulted property or tax deeds because you could get them for 10 cents, 20 cents, 30 cents on the dollar. And in both cases, there's no mortgage on these properties. The county wipes out the mortgage. The county does that. I don't do it. It's the law. All right, now here's how that works. If a property owner doesn't pay, what the legislature of the state does is they tell the treasurer of the county, look, levy a tax. So the treasurer does that. Okay, now go collect the tax. The treasurer does that. Okay, if they can't collect the tax, they tell the treasurer, all right, throw them out, seize the property, confiscate it, and we'll take the property. And that's exactly what they do. So in half of the states, they confiscate the property. The other half of the states, that's not what they do. They sell a tax lien certificate. They're very benevolent. You don't get possession with a tax certificate. The people stay in possession, and maybe they lost their job, or maybe they were sick, or whatever. And as soon as they're better, then they'll come and pay the tax, When they do, you get paid off. Counties tell me 95, 97% of the people will pay their tax, so you'll get paid and you'll get a nice premium of 16, 18, 24%. Now, if you're a senior, you want to put money in the bank at 1%, or do you want to buy at the local auction and make 16 or 18%? It's going to be up to you. It's your turn. All right, so about half of the states will sell tax lien certificates. The lowest I've ever seen recently is 12% in a few counties on Long Island in New York, like Nassau County and Suffolk County. The state like Florida pay 18%. State like Maryland pay 24%. Iowa pays 24%. You're getting the idea. Phoenix in Arizona, they pay 16%. So all of these states that sell tax lien certificates, you can be buying safe, secure investments. Now, there's over 3,000 counties to choose from. And we have courses that you can sit on your rusty dusty and learn how to do this online. Sit on your rusty dusty and learn how to do this online. Never leave home, and I have all kinds of clients that do exactly that. Now, I'm going to run out of time here on this particular video, so I want to tell you that I'm going to do a couple of questions right now, and I'll answer those, and then I'll come back and tell you about a free gift, and you don't want to miss that. So let's do those questions. Okay, the question was, what is the life of a tax lien certificate? I'm just going to give you an approximate because the state legislature decides that. But the oldest tax certificate I've ever seen was 7 years old. All right, so some states will allow them, I'm sure, to go less than that, and some it will be more than that. So you'll have to check with the state statute. But generally speaking, people will buy a tax certificate and expect to be paid within 2 or 3 years. So I would say over 90% within 2 to 3 years. What happens to a tax lien certificate that was on a list that you look like? So let me show you an example of a list. So if you're buying tax lien certificate, this happens to be Duval County in Jacksonville, and there's about 30,000 certificates listed here. All right, if it's listed here and it doesn't sell, they'll put those on a leftover list, and those are still for sale, and you can buy those directly from the county. No bidding at those auctions. So let me tell you about those 2 mistakes that I'm concerned, and I want to teach you to avoid these mistakes. Number 1 mistake is this. People go to the auction, they get to the auction, and they start bidding, and they've never seen the property. Now, folks, you would not marry the woman if you hadn't seen her. Now, ladies, it works the same way. You're not going to marry the guy unless you'd seen him, right? All right, so let's look at these properties. You need to have boots on the ground and eyes on the property. Why? What if it had burned down? What if there was a hurricane? What if it was next to a big, long chicken barn? You wouldn't want to own a property next to a chicken barn. You wouldn't want to do that. So you have to look at the property. That's mistake 1. Now, mistake 2 is similar. People get to the auction, and I know you're fired up. You're really going to make some big money, and you're determined you're going to win. And so what do? You start bidding, and you keep bidding. Now, you don't bid unless you have an exit strategy. Let me say that again. If you don't have an exit strategy, forget about bidding. Just forget it. Why? Because you could easily bid too high and go right by your exit strategy. So you need to know what you're going to sell this property for before you ever invest. All right, so thanks for watching today. I have a gift for you guys, and you're really going to like this gift, okay? Now, it's called the Safe Haven, and it's going to talk about 2 things that are important to you. It's going to talk about tax lien certificates, show you how to make money there, give you a lot of inside secrets, and also it's going to talk about tax defaulted property. You call those tax deeds. Now, those tax deeds are issued by the states when they sell the property, sometimes 20 cents, 30 cents on the dollar. So both of those are included in the Safe Haven. You want to take advantage of that. All you have to do is go below me and register. And if you have questions, put them in there too. I'll look forward to talking with you.